Hello and welcome to the 40 Sundays YouTube channel. My name is Tiffany. If you have joined me before, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome. I am so glad to have you. Quick word today, family, and this is coming hot off of a super overwhelming week, or I should say close to the week. And today's title is Submit to a Posture of Submission. And the way that this message came about was just feeling super overwhelmed with the task at hand. Being super overwhelmed with having to take on different things and I could not do in my own strength. And so I had a choice to make. Either I was going to get in a posture of submission, or I was going to attempt to do it in my own strength, but I was just that overwhelmed where I knew I couldn't. So my only and best choice, I should say, was to get in a posture of submission to God. And this word is coming from Matthew 6:27, which reads, "Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life?" And I was really tempted to worry about what is to come. Was I going to be able to not only get these tasks done, but do them well and exceed expectations? Let's talk about or even define the word posture. What does that mean? So it says bodily attitudes assumed in various parts of divine worship, whether public or private. And why is a posture, or why are postures important? Bodily postures communicate thoughts and feelings, as well as they serve as an important way to communicate non-verbally with God. Bodily postures allow us to create social bonds. Let's also talk about what submission looks like. Submission to God's authority brings freedom. It sets order and direction in our everyday lives for those found in Christ. Unimaginable blessings follow for those who are obedient. So we know that once we take on a posture, we have decided that I'm going to take a stance, whether that might be publicly or privately, that I'm going to give myself over to the will of God, right? That allows God, that signals to God that I am going to completely lean on you. I'm going to completely allow you to have office space to do your office work in this situation, regardless of how overwhelming it seems, regardless of how I don't know how these things are going to get done. Let's define the word submit. Submit means to yield oneself to the authority or will of another. And in that definition of submit is also the word yield. And yield means to give something over to the control or possession of another, usually under duress. Family, duress is one of the words I would describe, or one of the words I can use to describe how I was feeling as these things started to compound. How God explained that to me was to give into thought and the tricks of the enemy, therefore giving up ground. Okay? If we don't take on a posture of submission in these times, we allow the devil to take hold of our thoughts, our emotions, and our will. We have to decide how is it we're going to move forward. And I can just tell you all the emotional roller coaster that I was on, I didn't have the energy to even think about how I was going to be able to accomplish these tasks. But the minute that I gave it over to God and I said, you know what, God, this is an opportunity for me to praise you, because you are allowing me to be stretched and tested in a way that I have never been stretched and tested before. And let's not forget, if God is allowing us to go through these things, we can handle them. But also, we have to understand that we have to lean on God, and that's what he's waiting for us to do. And just as it defined here, that once we are able to submit, unimaginable blessings follow. And when a lot of times we can be tempted to think that blessings just mean cruises, cars, or cash, but blessing has everything to do with peace in your mind, peace in your emotions, allowing God just to take over the situation. So, all I can say is, those of us who are going through a time of stretching, who are going through a time of testing, get in a posture where you allow God to work in all the ways he has planned. Because a lot of times we don't realize when we're being set up for a breakthrough, we don't realize we're being set up for our next blessing. Because a lot of those times, we just look at the situation and the emotional turmoil that it's bringing, not realizing that it's a part of God's plan. But if we don't realize that, if we don't get into a posture of submission, we'll be tempted, or we will try to do it in our own strength, and quite possibly could fail, or not meet the expectation, or not meet the goal, or not meet the deadline in a way that if we would have given God space to do that, to show up in the situation, we didn't yield the results that were possible, right? So, family, just a really quick word for you today. And as much as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, and I want you to feel encouraged that as you start this next week and things start to take a turn that you weren't expecting, get in a posture of submission. Communicate to God. I'm giving this all over to you. You know, you are the author and finisher of my faith. You know the beginning and the end. You knew where I would be. This might have taken me for a surprise, but it did not take you off guard. It did not take you for a surprise. So, Lord, because you know all, I'm allowing you to I am giving you the space to show up in this situation. And family, I know that you will be blessed once you take time and talk to God about it. Yes, it doesn't change the fact that you don't know the outcome. And you are feeling real things in real time. But there is a peace that comes. There's blessings that come with giving it over to God. Family, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I am praying your strength in the Lord, and we will talk very soon. Shalom, shalom.